Hi, today I'm joined by Tim Knopp, who is our new Republican Oregon State Chair for term limits. We're thrilled to have him on board with us, and which just shows how we're growing all across the country. So, welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Great. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
You bet. I'm a native Oregonian and grew up in the Bend area. Then our family moved to the Chicago area where I spent about 10 years. And then moved back to Bend after I got married and started a business and then got involved in politics in the mid to late 80s and realized that it was really important that we have term limits. Ended up running for office and serving 6 years in the Oregon House. And then I went back to the private sector, just like a good term limits believer would. And then 8 years later, had some friends recruit me to run for the Oregon State Senate. And I spent 3 terms in the Senate and then retired from the Senate this last January, and am looking forward to working on term limits both in the state of Oregon and at the national level.
Well, we're so glad to have you on board, and you're kind of like the poster child for it, with serving in the House and then go back to the private sector and then running again for the state Senate. So that's pretty exciting. So why did you get involved with term limits?
I just think it's critical because if you look at what's happened to our country, when you have people who serve long periods of time, 20, 30, 40, almost 50 years, especially consecutively, what tends to happen is they become big government apologists. They stop serving the people of their district and start serving their own interests or their own interests to get reelected. So when we have the opportunity, we should make sure that people have limited terms in office where we have more say as the people versus a very entrenched incumbent that becomes really an apologist for the bureaucracy that exists, and helping their friends. And that's on the right and the left. It's not a partisan thing. And term limits, when I talk to people, is one of the most popular policies out there that hasn't been adopted at a national level. And it's not just Republicans that like it, independents and Democrats and
Yep,
minor
all across the
parties
board.
like it as well.
Yep. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Do you think by implementing congressional term limits, we'll be restoring our founding fathers' vision of a citizens' legislature?
Absolutely. I think that our our founding fathers, including George Washington, um, recognized that long service becomes problematic, and it almost becomes like a ruling class, and
Yeah.
that's essentially what we have. Because when you have Charles Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, and the list goes on and on and on of people who have served 30, 40. I mean, Biden spent literally almost his entire adult working life on the public dole. And, I I don't think that was a positive experience for most people, quite frankly, even the people of Delaware. And so I think it is a return to what our founding fathers saw for this country, which is a citizen-led legislature, congressional delegation. You go, you serve a few years, and then you go back and live under the laws and rules that you've created.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. So well, you're all the way, I'm here in Massachusetts and you're all the way out there in Oregon. What do people out in Oregon think about term limits?
Yeah, so if you ask individual people, they're all for it. But what you typically see is the party in power is not interested in passing a referral or term limits legislation because they don't want to limit their own terms. And they don't want to limit their own terms because they believe they derive power and influence from being in that position. And when they're there 20, 30, 40 years, it, I think, is not a positive experience for the people at large. And what we have at the federal level is, quite frankly, the poster child for term limits, which is we have Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon, and the national debt when Ron Wyden took office was about not quite $1 trillion. Today, almost $36 trillion. And what has he done to stop it? To create a balanced budget, to live within our means. And we've literally mortgaged and given away the future of our kids and grandkids because of this spending. And Congress figured out that they could ingratiate themselves to the people by handing out all kinds of pork, waste, goodies, benefits, some would say. And they've done that to the tune of $36 trillion in debt. And that is the reason why we need term limits, because we need people who are going to live within their means and aren't going to mortgage the future of our country.
Well, you're sure right on that. $36 trillion of national debt. It's enough to keep you up at night worrying about that. So, well, we're so excited to have you on board. How do people out there in Oregon get a hold of you, get involved with you, so they can, make Oregon another state to grow, join the growing list of states that have passed our congressional term limits call? I mean, you heard this week we passed in South Dakota, so let's get Oregon in that category.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So you can certainly find me on social media, Facebook, what have you. But if you want to send me an email, it's Senator Tim Knopp at gmail.com. And even though I'm no longer a senator, didn't want to change the email because I got too many things signed up under that. So you can catch me there.
I can certainly understand that. I got married and kept the old the old name, so I can understand that. Well, we're so excited to have you on board, and I know with you heading up things in Oregon, we're going to have some great results. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, and I look forward to passing term limits.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.